What's up, everybody? It's Jairo from the Grind Fitness Training Systems, and welcome to another topic. Today, we're going to talk about CO2 tolerance training for fighters. What is CO2? CO2 is carbon dioxide. It's what we exhale. Okay. Most people think that CO2 is just and only waste. Basically, your breath is exhausting whatever byproducts it's building, and it's only waste. But what in reality CO2 does is what it does is it controls oxygen release. So, what does that mean? Meaning that if you increase the training tolerance of CO2, you're staying sharper when others have it, when others gas out. Because the better you get at tolerating high levels of CO2 in the body, the more oxygen release you're going to get. So here I put science of CO2. CO2 drives vasodilation and oxygen delivery. Vasodilation just basically means your vascular system, your veins, where all the blood gets pumped, expands, gets bigger. Okay, and then that's where without it, this is why I wrote this here. Without it, oxygen stays in the blood. So think of it this way. As you start to build up waste, which is CO2, and learning how to endure that high tolerance of waste, what ends up happening is that your body then gets signals to increase the opening or the vasodilation, the expansion of those veins so that more blood can be circulated within the body, which in turn also extracts the oxygen out of the blood and delivers it more to the muscle. So that learning how to tolerate that buildup of waste when you're breathing and expanding and learning how to tolerate that high level of stress and heart rate is what's going to increase the amount of oxygen that's going to the muscle. Okay? Why wouldn't you want that? Now, why does it matter for combat athletes? So the better you get at oxygen utilization, the more stamina that you have. It delays fatigue. I already explained why. This one is also another side effect. It builds mental resilience under stress. So the concept, I'm sure most of you have felt this. This is where, let's say you're running. The best example is because everyone's ran before. Where you're running, it's not a full sprint. And you're not jogging. You're a little bit past jogging, but you're not sprinting. There's this weird zone that you get where you feel like you want to stop with every single step, but you just tolerate how to manage that desire to stop through the discomfort of your breathing, if that makes sense. And what you're doing is you're building mental resilience for that fatigue. So that's one of the side effects of learning how to tolerate a lot of carbon dioxide or a lot of high level conditioning. Okay. And then it also activates your parasympathetic system. Okay. So training methods. What are we going to do? How do we train this in order for us to kind of practice this without actually in the actual fight? So again, these are all breathing exercises. So you're going to do breath holds. So what you're going to do is you're going to exhaust all the waste, the CO2 out of your lungs, and you're going to hold your breath, and either A, you're going to walk, or B, you're going to do some shadow boxing, something where you're not exhaling to get rid of the CO2 that your body's producing through the activity that you're building. And what you do is you learn how to tolerate that tolerance without the actual stress of someone punching you in the face or somebody trying to strangle you or someone trying to double leg you, whatever it may be. Okay? Then you practice slow exhales. And what you're doing is you're controlling the pace of the exhale. So think of it this way. If carbon dioxide needs to be exhaled at a level 10, you don't exhale all 10. What you do is you learn to practice where you're only exhaling 8 and you're tolerating now that 2 deficit. And then you get better and then you only exhale 6 and you're tolerating now like a 4 negatives Does that make sense? In other words, the more you practice slow exhaling, the more internal tolerance you're going to get from CO2. And then the last one is box breathing, which is just a 4x4 count. So breathe in 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4, inhale 4, and then just repeat the process over and over again. And what you're doing again is you're controlling your breath and learning how to build that internal CO2 tolerance. All right, guys, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. As always, shoot me a DM if you have a question. If there's any way that I can help you, please reach out. I'm always here to help. See you on the next one.